Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back to Imam Nawawi's course on the 40 Arba'een. Today we're having a look at Hadith 17, which is to do with perfection, Iḥsān, in everything. The Hadith is on the authority of Abu Ya'la, Shaddad ibn Aws, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Verily Allah has prescribed Iḥsān, perfection in all things. Thus if you kill, kill well, and if you slaughter, slaughter well. Let each one of you sharpen his blade, and let him spare suffering to the animal he slaughters." So on the face of it, it's a simple hadith. You're thinking, well, slaughter animal, okay, I got it. 1 + 1 is 2, blade, sharp, slaughter animal, best way. But actually the hadith runs much deeper than that. We'll have a look. Hadith number 2 of Imam Nawawi, which is Islam, Iḥsān, Iman, Islam and Iḥsān. The three parts of your faith. If you have all three, it's your religion is perfect. There's no religion without number 1. Your religion is deficient if you don't have number 2 and number 3, and number 3 gives you perfection in it. So it's a holistic whole. This is a similar concept of creating the holistic whole via this hadith. So Iḥsān is the spiritual perfectionist side of Islam. So you should strive to be a spiritual perfectionist, right? But not like a perfectionist OCD style, but someone that understands that everything he does should have purpose and meaning and be done to the best of his ability, and not to get into OCD about it. So not to repeat acts of worship or something, but understand, okay, I made a mistake. Each time I pray, I'm supposed to be getting better. Something like that. Iḥsān is to do things that infuse perfection, elegance, grace, beauty, and dignity into your actions. What am I talking about? So you've got someone that goes into the mosque and prays, and he bows and everything, or he's done some parts of his prayer perfectly, the other parts very fast, and then assalam, salam, and then no dua, and gets up and goes away. He's prayed. How much has Allah accepted it? And when people look at it, how beautiful does it look? Whereas if he goes very calm, very slow, stands, ponders for a moment, gathers his thoughts, slowly raises his hands, thinks, pauses, thinks Allahu Akbar, puts his hands there, waits a moment, then starts Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. And the meanings are absolutely beautiful if you know the meanings of this. To read slowly and to ponder on the meanings. Each action, as the hadith says, you move into position until your bones settle, which is a moment. In the Hanafi madhab, it's like the length of one subhanallah at least. Then to stand up again. And not like then also to wear beautiful clothes. So when you go to the mosque, have a nice hat on, have nice clothes on, go in with the correct intention. These things are all important, and they create beauty around what you do. When you're reading the Quran, it's not a case of no. Give each word its harakah. Allah forgive me for reading like this. Give each word its due. Pause where you need to pause, lengthen where you need to lengthen, make it beautiful. Even if you only end up reading 1 page, it's better than reading 5 pages that are hasty. When someone hears you, you shouldn't think, oh, that's a Muslim, what's he doing? It should be, wow, I can't help but stare. His demeanor, his clothes, his hat, his beautiful recitation. Now, that's the effect that we should have on people, and that's the effect that Islam gives. And this was the effect that early Muslims all over the world saw and thought, wow, we want to become Muslims. This is what we're talking about here. Allah is perfect, and Allah's laws in creation He's created are perfect. Do you see disorder in the universe? Do you see chaos in the universe? Do you see chaos in nature? Everything is organized. Allah is perfect, and Allah's created perfection, and in perfection He's created beautiful beautiful laws. He's infused it with beauty, Iḥsān. Allah is Al-Muhsin, the one who infuses beauty into the doer of Iḥsān, of beauty, the one who beautifies everything, gives everything in its correct comportment, everything done properly. When you act in a beautiful way, whether it's walking, speech, talking, you infuse beauty into this world. Doing the bare basics in life is just getting you by. You could wear a loincloth on the street and just get by. Shar'an, you've covered your aura. You can pray like this. But is that the best prayer? In fact, if you've got another garment and you decide to do this, you're sinning. But still, would that be the best garment to pray in? Someone who has well dressed and someone who's deciding to wear a loincloth, both of their prayers are accepted, but whose prayer is more beautiful? So we need to do things, we need to go the extra mile. Beauty isn't, when you make a cake, you can make a nice cake, yeah, wow, it's nice. But if you go the extra mile and put icing on top, or then if you go the extra mile and put a cherry on top, and then go the extra mile and put a candle on top, it's just beauty upon beauty upon beauty. You can give someone a cake. You invite them to your house and you give them a cake, but if you give them tea with it, wow, that's nice, more beautiful. If you give them a glass of cold water, oh, that's even better. These things are you really need to think about the Iḥsān in your life, in your actions, in your worship. Imam Nawawi says this hadith is among the unique hadith that specify Iḥsān in doing everything. The killing of an animal is just an example, right? Most people, we get this when we talk about the animals. Just want to go through a few more slides. So, for example, one can dress in bare minimum clothing. So you could wear a t-shirt and 3/4 length shorts and walk down the street, and then you've got somebody walking down the street in a 3-piece suit. Which looks more beautiful? You can be sloppy in your walking, you can be walking sloppy, or you can be walking with purpose. What looks more beautiful? You could be loose in your words, or you can be succinct in your words. What looks more beautiful? Beautiful in speech, manners, actions, inward and outward comportment. Become beautiful. When you become beautiful like this, you're mimicking an attribute of Allah, Al-Muhsin. You're trying to mimic, copy Allah's attribute. And this is the state we want to be in. We want to be that perfect example. You are the ambassador, the vice regent of Allah on earth. You are the son of Adam. Allah has given you powers over everything. So why do we dress sloppy, eat sloppy, look sloppy, speak sloppy? When we look at a lion or a tiger or any animal, its clothing, its coat of fur is beautiful. That's an animal. But you are the vice regent of Allah. Why are you not beautiful? Why is your clothing not beautiful? When any animal walks, it walks with purpose. Why are you lounging all over the place? When an animal growls or speaks or makes it sound, it's beautiful. Most animals are beautiful. And even when a dog barks, there's purpose for it. It serves its purpose perfectly. So why are you prattling on without purpose? You need to think about these things. How does one become like this? There's a form of spiritual exercises. Most people think that, let's do the outward. Let's learn about the outward. Is my beard long enough? Are my jacks high enough? Am I brushing my teeth all over the place without really knowing that there's a time and a place and a compartment for doing this work? They stick it here. It's in their mouth. I don't know what they're doing with it anyway. That's the outward. But the inward, and then even how you present the outward. You can put a beautiful suit on someone that doesn't know how to walk, and he will spoil everything. It doesn't matter whether he has a suit or not now. You may as well not put the suit on him, because the way he's dragging himself, the way he's holding the suit on his body, it's not dignified, it's not beautiful. Whereas even if you have something that's slightly blemished, but if it's on the right body, he knows how to carry himself, it looks beautiful. So we need to do this with all of our actions. In order to do this, you need spiritual exercises. Learning about the hadith on the outside is not going to make this, because this comes from a natural thing from inside. How many people Allah has given them beautiful hair? They have beards, unkept beards, and shaven heads. Shaven heads are not a hallmark of beauty if you have hair, and there's nothing special about shaving your hair. But why do many people have hair that's this small? Let your hair grow. Show us the ni'mah Allah has given you. Where are your locks? And then your beards, have them kept as per sunnah, not wild. That's the external. And the internal, how are you going to manage the internal? Have you sat down and learnt beauty from somebody? Manners, the book of manners, how to greet people, how to smile, how to shake their hand and not pull away first, how to sit with them, how to offer them gifts, how to offer them food, how to invite them, how to even speak. This is all stuff that as Muslims you need to learn to keep your thoughts pure, your mind balanced, emotions under control is something beautiful to behold. To shed your bad habits and imbue beautiful new ones. No procrastination, no time wasting, a dedicated Muslim believer, focused, razor sharp, like Rasulullah was imbibed with gentleness. So it's like the samurai spirit, right? So you have the warrior, but he has a gentle side. You have the gentleman. What's in English gentleman? Right? The barbarian warrior spirit was, like the Vikings and the Vandals and the Goths, and it was just pure rage and barbarianism and no chivalry and nothing. I'm not saying they didn't have chivalry. I don't know to what extent they had chivalry, but true chivalry really came out of the Muslim tradition, and then it went into the European tradition. Like of the gallant knights and Fatuwa and Marawa, and all this came from the Muslim tradition. So, like the samurai, highly cultured society. So you had, the warrior side, but then it was balanced with the artistic and with the gentle side of the warrior. The same with the English knights. You had the gentleman knight. The same, all Muslims should be warriors. So there should be a warrior side that you should practice upon yourself. So you're hard upon yourself. You're practicing mujahada upon yourself, and then you're giving forward. You're imbibing or imbuing that beauty that comes out, the gentleness. So you're hard on yourself, but you're gentle on everybody else. So when you're walking, you're not strutting like you do in war. You're walking like a gentleman, right? The Qurayshis, the Qurayshi non-Muslims would bounce and strut, and they would laugh at Rasulullah's walk. In fact, they would call him feminine in some actions. But Rasulullah was the most manliest of men. There was nothing feminine. But they would, in their mocking, because for them it was just this jahiliya aggression, jahiliya everything, proud, boasting, walking, bouncing. Whereas Rasulullah was the manliest of men in his body, in his comportment, in his quietude. But he was gentle, which is a manly quality. Don't forget the yin and the yang, the balance of life, harmony of life, the dyadic poles of existence. They need to come together for perfection. If you're just one thing, one massive pot of one without the balancing opposite, you're lopsided. For example, a father is logical and stern, and a mother is emotional and soft, and that kid takes both and becomes good. In a relationship, the mother balances the father where he needs to be quietened down, and the father balances the mother where he needs to give her some logic and say, emotions aside, Habibti, let's do this properly. And where she says, listen, I want you to calm down, think about it, X, Y, and Z. So this is the way a Muslim should be, a gentleman, an effendi, a bey, someone of honor, someone of dignity, someone like a samurai, the art of Bushido. Study the art of Bushido, what it means to be a man. Take out the violent excess. And study the art of Fatuwa, Maruwa in the Muslim sciences, the Islamic sciences, and see what it means to be a gentleman, a gentle soul, somebody who's a man imbued with Iḥsān. And it applies equally to women as well. Be razor sharp, be focused. Rasulullah was on a mission. When he walked with purpose. When he spoke with purpose. When he did everything, he wasn't lazy, he did everything with purpose. Excellence is something Allah prescribed for himself. So we try to emulate a divine quality in that also. When we see grand works of men For example, when we see a beautiful building or a landscaped park or a city, and we instinct or a painting, a work of art, we instinctively think about the heart of the person that made it. Because surely something beautiful must be inside him that he can bring it forth. When we see the evil actions of dictators, for sure we know how hard, how filthy, how polluted the heart is that created those bad actions. So we need to think about, when we think about these things, we also think about Allah. So when we see beauty in creation that man has created, we're forced to look at man and think, who was the author of this? But then when we look at all of creation, do we not wonder how beautiful the creative act, how beautiful is creation, how beautiful the creative act, and how beautiful the intent, and how beautiful the creator, taking it all the way back to Allah. And then it forces you to be humble and say, you know what, I want to be like that. Spiritual writings, poems don't come from corrupt and heedless minds. Poets are normally very deep thinkers. People that write spiritual tracts from whatever religion, they have deep thinking. They don't come from a place of heedlessness. And the messages in poems and those spiritual tracts are profound. Contrast that to corrupt minds that make hip hop, that make gangster music, look at the problems in gangster music. Violence, swearing, degrading women, giving out to the world the pollution around you, broken families, children running amok, boys amok, drugs in the house, wife beating going on, domestic violence, all of these themes you find in hip hop music. And are hip hop artists dignified in their speech, in their clothing, in anything? Or is it excess of the wrong kind? Whereas look at serene poets, composers like Mozart. Yes, some of them, I don't know which ones, but they probably had secret lives that were not too great. I don't know, but some of the great authors like Charles Dickens, mistresses on the side and stuff like that. But take away those sins. Look at Charles Dickens, the way he used to dress, the way he sits, and what he wrote. Look at the female writers, look at the male writers. Even today, look at dignified writers and compare them to your average hip hop artist, even the greatest one. You can't. I mean, it's like apples and pears. You can't compare. And in fact, it's not even an apple and pear. It's like rotting fruit compared to an apple. Like compare hip hop and punk. Look, punk. What? Just look at punk rockers, and then the music, and then rock and roll. I mean, it's ugly. Rock. You're shouting. It's not. It's rage. And then the headbangers. What's going on there? And then compare that to beautiful ghazals, emotive, innocent love songs for your beloved, the gentle swaying, delicate beats, the maqams, the beautiful mood-changing maqams that you get in classical music, and the beautiful surroundings, right? The lush cushions, the colors, the embodiment of culture in that setting. It's very different from those nasty places like venues of music where you get killings, gang violence, shootings, stabbings, muggings, rapes, even touching each other up, like men touching women, sexual crimes. Subhanallah, it's a world away from beauty, the beautiful side of music. And when they wear their traditional clothing and then there's traditional moving or swaying or whatever it may be, it's because there's been beauty has been infused into it. Muslims in a time of Iḥsān would produce beautiful works. Just go back 200 years back, all the way to 1,000 years ago. Every work, whether it's a fountain, whether it's a palace, whether it's an institute, a mosque, madrasa, whether it's a market, or whether it's some waqf land, everything was beautiful. If you like in the old Ottoman buildings, you can see small palaces for birds built into the wall. Small palaces for birds. They were giving pigeons. nesting sites that look like palaces, subhanallah. Today, we don't care for animals, especially in the Muslim world. We don't care for animals. I remember I was giving da'wah in a camp to Filipinos in Saudi Arabia while I was living there. And I started off with all the proofs that you do in the West, talking about the illogical fallacies of the religion, Christianity, and this and that. And he literally stopped me and said, listen, stop. He said, don't give me this. I don't want to know this. He said, if you are a nice person and a beautiful person, I want to be part of that. And that was a big lesson for me that day. He just wanted to see beauty. And we took shahadas that day for free almost. Yeah, it was free. It was free, subhanallah. It was the most beautiful moment in my life. They just came out and took shahada because they are simple people, people that recognize beauty. Not everybody can recognize logic so easily. And they just took the shahada. He said, if you're good, I want to be a part of that. And he did. Ihsān comes from sincerity. This shows Ihsān cannot come from an insincere place because there are side effects and hallmarks. So, for example, if a sheikh is really a muhsin, there would be no or people are praising him and he's like, maybe if you praise him, tears will come out. And he's humble, he's not showing himself, his words, there's no ana, there's nothing about himself, it's all about everybody, and he's very putting himself down, not artificially down, but you can see it in the body language. You don't need to lie. You cannot lie to yourself, as Samurai Jack said. The decisions you make and the actions that follow are reflections of who you truly are. You cannot hide from yourself. Not only are you exposing yourself to yourself, but you're exposing yourself to everybody else as well. So you cannot fake these things. That's the beauty of ihsān, is it comes from a place of genuineness. When you start a job, go in with the whole heart intention that you're going to give it your best. People normally get complacent. That's why they get sacked. They go in giving it 110%. Very soon they realize other people aren't. Other people will tell them, you don't need to do this. And you end up stealing money from the company. How? Because you're not doing your job properly. So you're working suboptimally. Many times in my workplace, I would have to tell people that, listen, you're not working for yourself, you're working for Allah. You're not working for your boss, you're working for Allah. They would say, oh no, we're cheating here, or we're not giving it our 100% because the company doesn't pay us well, or the company doesn't care for our needs. I said, it doesn't matter. You're not working for the company, you're not working for your boss, you're working for Allah. Allah is judging you. You give it your best. Allah's going to judge you on what you did and recompense you for your shortcomings. Whereas if you decide to take what you think is yours now, Allah is going to punish you for this. So give 100% in everything that you're doing. If you're helping an old lady cross the road, don't just take her to the sidewalk and leave her. Walk with her a little bit. And if she lives close, take her to a gate. And if she can't get into, even her, she's very weak on her feet, take her inside her house if she accepts that. If you're taking people shopping, you're helping somebody taking their shopping in the car, or into the house, or don't just drop it on their lawn and walk away. See them through the door and hand them the bags into their house. If you're carrying luggage upstairs for somebody, don't just leave it on the landing. Take it up to their door, go the extra mile, show the extra beauty. This is ihsān. If you're serving someone coffee outside, make sure that the cup is clean. You get like, I'm going to mention street food in India now because it's world famous at the moment and it's really turned people off India, unfortunately. You will see the most atrocious ways of serving street food in India, right? And apart from the unhygienic stuff of whatever they're doing, I'm not going to get into that, but just the very quick way they're giving it to you. They're making a mess. The place where they're working looks disgusting and ugly. The food looks disgusting and ugly. The way they're serving is disgusting and ugly. The way they're putting it into your plate is quickly. They're smiling. They're not smiling. They've got an ugly look like this on their face. How much blessing is in that food? How much are you benefiting? If someone gave you something that they cooked and it didn't even look nice, but they gave it to you with love and smile, and they're really happy that you're eating it. And then they're sitting at you, and how does it taste? Psychologically, it'll taste nice to you because of his perfection in that. But whereas when you see the Indian street food, it's disgusting. I mean, I could never eat food from somebody who gave it to me with a ugly face if he didn't smile at me. It was like he's just throwing it at me. Let alone the fact that the way they're giving it to you in the ugly way. Don't do that to anybody. Be easy, be gentle, beautify things, make things beautiful. So if you're hasty in putting the tea in and you're bringing it in for them, don't get to the table and then start drying the cup. Do that first and then make it beautiful. When you're giving biscuits, don't just put biscuits anywhere. Make a nice pattern. When you're giving salad, don't just cut salad and say, here you go. Make a nice pattern. Let them enjoy it, love it. It's as much about the experience of color, sound, and visual representation as it is about taste. And that's just the food. It's also you, how you look. Are you serving in pajamas? Your guest has come to see you, and are you wearing pajamas? Or are you dressed in your best for your guest? Are you honoring your guest? We mentioned in the last hadith. I could tell you a funny story or two regarding visiting people who, turned up in pajamas, and then day in day out, and you're a guest there, and you're thinking, what's going on here? So why is excellence mentioned in regarding to killing here? It's because people don't give much thought to animals. We know about excellence. We kind of understand excellence with dealing with humans. But when it comes to animals, do we give animals their rights? Sadly, no. In the West, how many videos can you see of abattoirs and hen-laying places and how they transport them, of how atrocious the conditions are? How many videos can you see of them torturing animals all over the world, in China? Even when they're sacrificing animals in India and Pakistan, those guys don't know what they're doing. Those big animals, they haven't got a clue. It takes a specialist to sacrifice. And subhanAllah, may Allah protect those animals from the abuse that these guys inflict on them. Um, Nobody cares how they sacrifice animals. They will sacrifice in eye shot and ear shot of the other animal. If the blade isn't sharp, the animal suffers. They'll probably step on the animal. I've seen them doing that when they're sacrificing. I've seen them just drop hens into things to, just literally slice the hen in front of another hen and then just drop it like 4 foot into a pit for it to bleed out. It's still alive at the moment. Like, seriously, the way Muslims treat animals is atrocious. We don't have animal shelters. We don't have animal like vets available. We don't have places that we can go. And people will tell you, why are you caring for that animal? It's okay. They look at you surprised. Somebody said to me in one country, I'm not going to mention, he said, is it true that they operated on the teeth of a rabbit? Like, that was like the most strangest thing he had ever heard. In Islam, if you make the animal feel calm, give it water to drink, make sure speak some soothing words to it, take it to a place where other animals are not there, use a sharp knife, don't be hasty in your movements, recite some Quran as it's passing away, infuse barakah into it, do justice to that created being that Allah created, even in its last moments, give it some dignity. Muslims don't, many people don't do this. We need to really be mindful. This is why the hadith was mentioned about Iḥsān, linking Iḥsān to animals, because that's for us, it's like a low thing, right? So if Iḥsān is due here, for sure it's due on the rungs above that. Slow down and appreciate the blessing. I once saw a hunter in Africa, 8-hour hunt chasing an animal, literally tiring the animal out. 8 hours till the animal was so exhausted that it couldn't carry on. It was a big, beautiful elk or something. Then he killed it. Then he goes up to the animal and he some sort of ritual, right? Like where he's blessing the animal and he's thanking whoever he needs to thank for the blessing of this animal. He's someone who's connected with his surroundings. He realized that this was a blessing given to him and how he should treat it. He took the saliva of the animal and rubbed it on his knees, as like pain relief or something. And he kind of stroked it as it died and everything. And do we see this in abattoirs in the West? Do we see this in when we have even a halal slaughter? They'll slaughter and just throw the animal on the side and just, subhanallah. Slaughtering in the name of other than Allah is clear kufr. So, slaughtering in the name of a chief or your guest. This is in honor of you. This is in honor of the king. You visited us today in honor of. This is kufr. We only slaughter in the name of Allah and we give as a gift to other people. Also, this moves into capital punishment, right? Capital punishment, humiliating the prisoner on his walk, punching him, slapping him, as they do, torture, and all stuff like this. Stripping him naked. May Allah protect us from all of this. This is not ihsan. If you have to take a life of a belligerent, make it swift. That's why we have a clean headshot, because it's painless and it's over very quickly. Whereas lethal injections can go wrong. Electrocution is the most horrific method that America uses in some states. And then hangings can go wrong as well. Right? Too short and you choke to death, too long and it decapitates you. So we need, you can never really truly punish anybody. The idea is that you're ending the belligerence so it doesn't happen. Allah is the judge. Allah will do what He needs to do. So this is infusing ihsan into this. So may Allah give us the ability to infuse ihsan into everything. Make us people who imbue and imbibe beauty. Take it in and then give it back out to the world. It's like the perfumed garden, right? The flowers in the perfumed garden beautify not only the garden, but then beautify the garden outside. And they invite bees and birds in, who then take the seeds of that garden and beautify other gardens outside. The smell of that garden permeates other gardens. This is ihsan. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.